want to show you what we believe to be the biggest fire burning right now in the city. And we are over the city of Compton, the Compton Center Mall, Newberry's department store on fire here now, and a lot of thick black smoke going into the sky. Doesn't appear to be, the firefighters are on the scene here, but they're not putting water on it yet. They're just arriving here now. But there are a number of fires like this still burning. They flare up from time to time. In a lot of cases, there are fires that burned before last night and then flare up again because firefighters have to go to other parts of town, take care of more serious fires. In this case, although it's hard to tell because of all that smoke, in this case it looks like this is a relatively new fire, because I don't see the damage that you usually associate with the fires that have been burning for a long time. So we're still getting new fires and new flare-ups. If you look into the horizon here as we move out, you can see along the horizon, off in the distance, several other plumes of smoke as well. Smoldering fires. It's impossible to count how many of them there are off in the distance. We're about as far east as we've been all day long, and we've been flying since 6:30 this morning. So this is the easternmost boundary. But if you go and cross over to the other side of the Harbor Freeway, go through south central Los Angeles, you go to the other side of the Harbor Freeway, you'll find fires on that side. We saw a fire earlier today just north of the Wilshire district at 3rd and Vermont. So the fires are spread over a wider area, certainly, than they were last night. And this one just burning, and firefighters only now beginning to arrive. One unit on the scene, definitely not enough for what this is going to take. So you see that firefighters are stretched to the limit. Ordinarily, with a fire of this size, there's no way you'd only have one fire unit. You'd have a whole bunch. You see the police are here as well, or in this case, I believe sheriff's deputies, here to provide security for firefighters. They have a very difficult job to do. Many of them have been working on a continuous shift, incredibly long hours. And this is one big fire. Again, we're looking at the Compton Center Mall on Long Beach Boulevard near Euclid. It's right on the border between Compton and Linwood. It's just south of the new Century Freeway that they're building. See firefighters beginning to stage in front there. It's just amazing the number of fires that we've seen. And really, by daylight, what is also very dramatic is what it looks like after the fire is out and when it's just smoldering. The frames of the buildings that we've seen all over town, the buildings that look like they've just been flattened.
Eric, I can see now that there are 3 fire units on the scene. And what can you tell of any police protection that are accompanying them?
Well, you see 4 or 5 police officers who have blocked off the street. Now, when we first arrived here, it appeared that there was some looting going on in that store, and that's often the pattern that we've seen. First the looting, then the fire.
All right, Eric, now you're giving us a very good close-up picture. Perhaps you can give us a little perspective. Could you pull back a little bit? You said you can see a number of other fires. Now, this one near 3rd and Vermont, is that correct?
What we're looking at here now is the Compton Center Mall.
Okay, this is a Compton, okay. Now, if you pull back and you look east, how many fires do you see?
This is the easternmost fire that we have seen.
Okay. Okay.
This is the boundary, I would say, on the east to what we've seen.
Oh, now, Eric, we are looking at a ground shot at Washington and Broadway. As you're flying overhead over the Compton area, this is Washington and Broadway, where considerable looting is going on.
Yes, you are.
There's a 76 station at Compton and, at Washington and Broadway. Traffic is almost at a standstill as people are thronging through the streets and running into stores and taking whatever they can grab. We see no evidence of any law enforcement on the scene at the present time. People are using baby strollers to take other people's property.
Looks as though there were bars on the window of that particular store that they were just ripped off the front of that building.
Yeah, this has been the pattern that's been taking place ever since it started. You're right, Jan. It's bars are having no effect whatsoever on the intent of these looters.
I was going to say, I thought it might be some sort of an appliance store. I see several VCRs and television sets now being carried away.
Yeah, traffic moving through the street, people driving by, and no law enforcement presence. As we understand, it is very difficult to control this kind of situation because they're just about out of personnel to do this. It's going to require the National Guard. Steve Lentz is on the scene. Steve, can you give us a report from where you are?
Yes, I can, Hal. Let's take a look across the street, Central Furniture and Appliance. You've got hundreds of people who have been going in and out of this store, I would guess for 20 minutes now, maybe 30 minutes. When you look back to the left, Bill, you can see people handing things out the back entrance of the store. We've seen people carrying off everything from television sets, stereos, boxes full of different types of appliances. There's only been one police car that's even come down this street, one time with its siren going. And this has been going on. There's everything in the store. We've even seen some people they're taking furniture now out the front door. And there's nobody. People pull up in the gas station across the street, open up their trunks, and start filling their trunks up with merchandise. You can see these people running across Washington Boulevard now onto Broadway. And there's nothing here to stop them.
Have you seen any sign of law enforcement in the area at all?
That's what I was going to ask.
Only a helicopter flying overhead, one police helicopter looking down at this, and that is all.
No ground units.
At this point, I would say that if they could get the doors open wider, and you can see somebody over there right at the front door, there comes a couch out right now.
Steve,
6 men taking a couch out.
Steve, this is Larry McCormick. Do you think these are mostly young people, teenagers, for example, or are these people of all ages?
It's people of all ages, but mostly young. I would guess teenage into the 20s, but certainly that's the majority. There's all ages here.
We can hear sirens.
CHP officers just pulling up to the scene right now. However, I don't believe they are going to get out. I think they're just trying to scare them away. Well, now they are getting CHP officers, 2 of them getting out of their cars.
That one lone unit, two people, two
yes,
officers?
one lone unit. They both have M16 semi-automatic rifles. You can see the officer now headed over toward the couch. Now he's coming back this way across the street. But it's just to get people to disperse. He's going to yell at them to get out of there. And he is pointing his rifle at them. People just walk away.
I think it's fair to say by now that this is no longer a reaction to the verdict in the Rodney King trial. These are what you might call opportunistic scoundrels who are operating right now.
I think it's worse than that, Larry. It is a violent hooligan element that is in serious violation of the law.
Yes, I agree.
Now we have some rocks and bottles starting to be thrown at the highway patrol car. Seen 2 of them tossed that way. And that is one of the problems out here. There, of course, just way too many people, and there is no law enforcement. You can't deal with a crowd this size.
Steve, would you agree with the premise that the only way this situation is going to come under control is by bringing in preponderance force, including the National Guard?
That's what 2 police officers told me earlier, Hal. Yes, they said it would take the National Guard in order for this to ever be stopped. We've got 1, 2, 3 more squad cars coming up here now. Highway patrol cars, each with 2 officers inside. I've got to grab the cable here and pull it up behind Bill.
And
you can see people all jumping out of the back window of the store, the back entrance to the store, as these people pull up.
And Steve, at this point in time, there are no arrests being made, but they're simply trying to get the people out of the store and for the looting to end?
Yes, they just want to chase them out of there, that's all. As this guy held up, here's what I got, here's my loot. People wandering across the street with, I can see, speakers for stereos, man here with a microwave oven, any type of appliance they can find. Bill, let's get back out of the street here. Let's back up a little, Bill.
Right, Steve, we understand that 700 California Highway Patrol officers have been dispatched from various points around the state to the crisis area, so that will be some reinforcements, but still far from enough in order to deal with the situation. I did notice on the unit right in front there, on the left of your screen, the one officer got out and loaded a round into the chamber of what appeared to be a shotgun.
Yes.
So they are prepared to fire if they should be personally attacked, I would think.
Well, here, look over here. You got a man who's got his hands up. Man has a rifle aimed at him now, and he's telling him to get out of the store.
Yeah,
there
just get out of the store and
he's
going to get rid of him. Yeah.
Probably 15 years old or so.
Right.
I'm still amazed at the amount of traffic in the areas, and I am sure that all law enforcement officials will be advising everyone to stay home if they can and stay out of the areas where they've heard there is trouble.
Well, you know, with the mayor, Jan and Hal, and the chief of police, Darrell Gates, having now decided on a dawn-to-dusk curfew over the entire city of Los Angeles, with Compton officials having decided to put a curfew in effect there, possibly with Inglewood officials putting into effect a dawn-to-dusk curfew. I think for a lot of the people who are out now, as Hal remarked earlier, in this somewhat festive nature, this is going to come to a crashing halt, because people are going to be in some serious danger.
A highway patrol car just had a brick thrown through it.
There's going to be some serious danger on the streets for people who are out after the curfew hour. I think this is going to come to a crashing halt about that time.
Well, I think it may may come to a halt, Larry, even sooner. I have a report that the National Guard has been deployed. The number of troops will be 2,000, but 850 are already moving into position. And I think what you're going to see, just judging by this kind, it's going to be a military operation.
Yes.
And it's going to move in, I think, with overwhelming force. I think the strategy now, as we've been seeing it, is just to get these people out. They're not interested in arresting, except if there's real serious personal injury or violation. And I think then the National Guard will move in a combined operation with the LAPD, sheriffs, highway patrol, and state police, and I think they'll try to gain control that way by sheer force of arms.
You know how you and I were remarking in Jan last night that one of the differences, and we hate to keep making allusions to this, but one of the differences between now and 1965 is that the civil disorder is spread over such a wide area. This is a huge city. And the area which had to be cordoned off and patrolled in 65 was comparatively much smaller.
That's right. It was compact, as you'll recall, down on Central Avenue mostly. But this violence pops up in one area, then in the other. And let's remember, too, the difference between 1965 and 72. There are vastly more people.
Absolutely.
Just numbers of people in Los Angeles.
Possibly.
Let's go back to Steve now for a report.
Now we're getting
Steve?
Police presence here, Hal. In fact, you can look across the street, see about 8 to 10 LAPD officers standing up in front of that store. I believe they're probably going to make a sweep of the store, and first they have to form up to decide which way they are going to do it. You have CHP around both the front and the back side of it, so they've established a perimeter here. However, people continue to run across the street carrying everything. Let's move just a little bit. Carrying everything from, I saw one man carrying 2 rugs a minute ago to another man with a vacuum sweeper.